Looking for 41% more revenue? This is the secret to maximizing what you currently have before you go out and spend on something new.
We have a really exciting announcement for all of our viewers and listeners out there. The new book, Endless Customers by Marcus Sheridan and the team here at Impact, comes out in April of 2025, which is really exciting. But you know what's more exciting? You can go right now, today, to endlesscustomers.com and pre-order your copy. And if you do so, there's all sorts of great bonus content that you're going to get that you wouldn't normally get if you don't pre-order. So again, go to endlesscustomers.com and pre-order your copy today so you can learn how to earn trust and win more business in the age of AI. Welcome back to Endless Customers. I'm your host, Alex Winter, and today we are joined by Will Smith. He's a HubSpot expert here at Impact. Will, welcome back to the show, my friend.
Always great to be here with you, Alex.
Great to have you. And guess what we're talking about today? HubSpot. Let's go. Yes. One of my favorite subjects, one of our favorite CRMs here at Impact. I want to just get right into it, and I'm looking at my screen here because you gave this crazy stat at last year's Impact Live. Crazy stat. And it said that, or you said that 43% of CRM customers use fewer than half of the features that are available to them. Like, what? That's a real stat? Why is that the case? Please explain it to me. I need answers now.
Absolutely. You got it, Alex.
Yeah.
I'll get you the answers that you need when it comes to 43% of CRM customers use fewer than half of the features that are available to them.
That's crazy.
Basically, most businesses, they go into this whole thing and they basically pay for this like really powerful tool, and they're only using a fraction of its capabilities. And I've said it before, but it boils down to people know what they like and like what they know. And so they get stuck in this 43% little box of, well, I know how to do this in my CRM. I know how to do this. And unfortunately, what happens is you're not getting the most out of this investment in your CRM. Maybe you're not improving efficiency. Maybe you're not driving revenue, but you get stuck because you're only using 43% of your CRM.
Crazy. That's staggering to me. And you know what? It's something that we hear here at Impact a lot. This is not a new thing. I've been hearing this for years. You've been saying it. I've heard it from Jess and from our other HubSpot experts. Why does this keep happening? Why is this a recurring theme? Because for me, if I'm a business owner and I'm paying for a CRM like HubSpot, which is expensive, especially if you're on the enterprise plan, I'd want to use 100% of it, not 43% of it. So like, how do you navigate those conversations and try to get business leaders and people that are in this 43% category to start unlocking more potential?
Yeah, there's an educational concept that's called scaffolding. And if you imagine a scaffold, Alex, you basically start on the ground floor and you master whatever you're doing there on the ground floor. Then you create a ladder going up to the next level. And in that next level, you master the things that are there. What I usually see and the way that I navigate this conversation, these types of conversations, is that people just plateau, or businesses, organizations, and the people within those organizations, they plateau. They stop building that next ladder to get to the next scaffold, to get to the next level. Either they're content or they're discontent, right? The opposite. Mm-hmm. They are happy with where they are, or they're overwhelmed by either the business itself or by the implementation of the CRM, or they don't have a plan. They just said, we're going to do level 1 and level 2. Well, nobody actually really plans for that, but they got from level 1 to level 2 and then just got stuck.
Got it. And it sounds like there's a lot of different circumstances that can contribute to that. And it depends, Absolutely. I guess, on your business. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
When you talk to these businesses, how do you break them out of that, or how do you get them excited about it? Because I feel like we hear all the time, everyone's so excited about AI. Everyone's like, oh my God, you got to check out GPT and Gemini this and Claude that and all these tools. And AI is really cool. I'm not even going to pretend like it isn't, but your CRM is also really cool, and there's a lot you haven't figured out in there either. So like, how do you get them to feel the same excitement towards a tool that they already have and that they're paying for?
Yeah, I would actually, let's dangle that AI carrot in front of everyone.
Okay.
To kind of say, if you want to get here, let's improve your CRM. Because, like most things, it's garbage in, you put garbage into it, you're going to get garbage out of it. And the same applies for your CRM.
Yeah.
So if you have garbage data in there and you want to do AI and you just try to implement it, you just kind of throw it in, be like, here you go, AI. We're going to teach you all this stuff. And this is what our business is all about. Learn from our CRM. But if your data is not any good, and if it's not clean, if it's hard to understand, it doesn't matter how good the AI is, you're not going to get the most out of the AI. So let's take a step back and let's clean up our CRM. Let's make sure that our processes are in the right place. Make sure everyone's doing it. Let's make sure that we're doing all the right things so that you can get that much more out of AI when it's time to fully implement it. So to sum that all up, tangle that AI carrot in front of people, and then take a step back and let's say, all right, clean up the CRM so we can get to the good stuff.
Got it. And this is something you practice in real time. It sounds like you do this with business owners and with marketing teams.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of times, Alex, that's a great question. A lot of times I will hear, yeah, I tried this AI thing with my HubSpot. I don't know. I'm not a believer in it yet.
Or it doesn't work. I tried it and it's junk.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. Oh, it's not good. It's half baked. Why did they even bring it to market here?
Right.
But a lot of times we got to take a good look in the mirror and say, wait a second, what are we training the AI on? Let's improve that. Maybe the AI will improve after it.
What are some of these essential things that you start as you unlock? You get past the 43%. Like, what's that journey look like? Can you walk us down that path a little bit and what it can open up, like what doors it can open up for these businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. We really want to make sure that everyone in the organization is unified in how they're using their CRM. And so a lot of times that comes down to making sure that you're logging and tracking every single customer interaction. This makes sure that we don't have any leads that fall through the cracks. We don't have any opportunities that fall through the cracks, that everything is being followed up on. We then want to make sure that we automate a lot of our follow-ups, make sure that we have reminders, just to make sure that our deals are moving forward. So again, nothing gets stagnant, because usually when it gets stagnant, that's when we're going to fall through the cracks. And then we want to make sure that we are utilizing any kind of analytics. So if your data is set up properly, if your CRM is set up properly, we can now take a look at our analytics, whether that's marketing analytics, whether that's sales analytics, and that can really help us identify patterns, help us see things that we might normally not see in the day-to-day interactions with customers. So when we see patterns, when we see consistencies, when we see inconsistencies, we can then say, okay, let's address, for example, this particular bottleneck here. We're having a real problem here. Well, we're able to see that because of our CRM data. I would also recommend, if you are not doing it yet, lead scoring, because this will help us prioritize our work. Who are we going after? And a lot of people say, oh, that's a hot lead, or that lead's kind of warm, kind of lukewarm or cold.
Right.
But we don't have numbers that are associated with that. A lot of times, some of your old school salespeople might just say, oh, I just got a feeling about this one. This one feels hot.
I can feel it in my gut. Lead
scoring.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm selling by my gut here. With lead scoring, that gives us an actual number. So we can say, you know what, if they're 60 and above, they're definitely a hot lead, because the following things have happened to make that score go up. And then finally, the last thing I would put in there is, let's do some things that will just make it faster, like templates, like workflows, things that are in, obviously, the HubSpot CRM. Other CRMs have these. They may not be as refined as HubSpot. However, if we have things that will help us improve our efficiency, that allows us to sell faster and move on to the next sale as well. Sell faster, sell better, and move on.
I love everything that you just said. That's amazing. I think that's the discipline behind it. It's like setting up a routine and a discipline so that you have these metrics or these key data sets to really measure and go like, hey, we're not just going off a feeling here. We're going off of actual data because we're tracking it, because we're keeping score, we're keeping track of all these things consistently. And the consistency is really what's going to be the differentiator. And that is a good segue, because when businesses start to do this, What shifts do you start to see happening? Like just on an individual sales level, I have a stat right here that says it can increase revenue by 41% per salesperson. That's enormous. So as you start to implement these things, what can people expect to see?
Well, certainly that statistic is on the higher end of things. That 41% per salesperson, that's ensuring that everyone is doing exactly what the organization has defined as good CRM usage, some of the things that I just talked about. So it is very possible, but you always get those outliers. You talk about folks, we talk about the discipline that it takes to do things exactly the way we're supposed to do it. That's where documentation comes in.
Right.
And I always think of like, personal trainers that are, out of the gym lifting weights or something like that. They always have you write down, or they write it down for you, or it's in an app somewhere that says, this is your routine. This is what you're expected to do.
Right.
It's easy to see those results in an athletic situation. It's a little bit harder to see those results in a sales situation when you're selling by your gut, or you got a feeling about things. So the discipline and the numbers are what really are going to help you see that revenue increase by 41% per salesperson. And something I've noticed about the sales teams that I have worked with, when one person starts to see success just by following the plan, the documented plan, we've talked about that, then the next person says, well, what are they doing over there?
Totally.
I want to do that too.
Yeah.
So it's almost infectious in that way. So you can get that 41% per salesperson, provided you give clarity to what the expectation is, you have it documented, and everyone is following it.
Yeah. No, that's a really great point. It does become contagious when you start to get that traction, even if it's just one salesperson, because most sales folks that I've encountered, that I've worked with, they're competitive. They want to be the number one salesperson. So if someone's doing something that's really working, everyone's going to start trying to figure out what they're doing and what the secret sauce is, which is ironic because the secret sauce is just being accountable, being disciplined. You said something earlier too that really stuck out to me that I would just want to address here. It's also important to point out when things aren't working. And I think there's a lot of times where people try to sweep the bad stuff under the rug, and it's like, oh yeah, that wasn't good, but look at all this other great stuff that I did. And the great stuff is wonderful, but those problems and those things that maybe aren't working, you have to look at those as opportunities, and you don't want to shy away from those. You want to address them head on. And by documenting this and having it in your CRM, you can do exactly that.
Yeah. And I would also say, Alex, just to add on to that, the importance of good sales training and good sales coaching, not just to say, hey, Alex, you didn't meet your numbers last month. You better meet them this month. But rather saying, hey, what part of the process are we missing here? Can you tell me why we're not doing this? Or Alex, you're doing 80% of what we're asking you to do. How can we get that extra 20%? So that training,
right,
and more than just training, but the coaching, sales coaching is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Endless Customer crew knows how important sales coaching is, and role playing. We were actually just talking with Tom about role playing here a little while ago, and I couldn't agree more. So for businesses that maybe don't have this process in place, or that aren't leveraging their CRM correctly, right? Where should they start? Maybe they're paying for HubSpot and they know they should be doing these things, but they're like, I've been busy, stuff's been happening, insert whatever's going on, and that's totally okay. But like, if they want to make a change and start, how do they put their best foot forward, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Yeah, putting your best foot forward is a great way to put it, Alex. And in order to do that, you're going to have some hard conversations and some clear looking at yourself. No longer does, well, that's the way we've always done things. That doesn't work anymore. It can't fly that way anymore. It may be comfortable to be on that plateau, but if you want to level up to the next level, to the next step, to realize some of these numbers that we're throwing out here, it's important to take a good look at what you're currently doing so that you can improve. I would then say part of that might be, and I get it, that is hard to do because nobody can just put a little pause on business for 2 months and say, hey, we're just going to navel gaze here for a little bit and we're going to see how we do. And then we're going to come back to the business.
Of
But it's
course.
important to realize and know your space. Maybe there's some downtime. Maybe there's, you have some seasonality to your business, but identifying when you're going to do that, to put your best foot forward, to say, okay, if we're really serious about making a good change that is a permanent change, let's identify when the best time to do it is. It may not be January 1 when everyone has their own New Year's resolutions. It may be the start of Q3 when we see a little bit of a slowdown in the business and we have the time to take a look at what we're currently doing, to document the new processes, to make sure that folks are getting trained on those new processes. So putting it's cliche to say it, but it's true. Timing is everything. And so if you really want to move forward in the best possible way, you got to take a good look at yourself and time it right.
Yeah, that makes sense. You can't put the business on pause. And I'm also curious too, because you made the reference earlier about like going to the gym and having a trainer, and they write down your reps and they write down your sets and all that stuff. How important is it to bring a trainer in, and an external trainer, when you're struggling with something like this, especially when you're busy, especially if timing wise, you need this, but you're in your busy season and you're not in your slower season, or whatever the case may be? Like, how do you find that balance and go about finding somebody that could help get you to where you need to go?
Yeah, that's a great question, Alex, because so often folks are just going to do it internally. And there is an advantage to having someone outside of the organization that can help coach and train, that's maybe seen these problems before. But more than that, they have the objective viewpoint to be able to say, you know what, Bob said that you've always done it that way. And then Jeff said that you did it differently. So hold on a second. Let's take a good look at what we are actually doing. So it's important that we make sure that we have that person, that coach that can come in and objectively say, this is the best time to make this happen. Because just like everyone else has their own roles within the organization, a salesperson can't put pause on their sales so that we can train up everybody and take a look at it. They're also going to have a blind eye to things that they've always done the same way. So getting that coach, getting that person to have that objective viewpoint is probably one of the best ways to make sure that you get a lasting change out of this exercise.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Total sense to me. So I want to go back to your talk really quickly. And for everybody out there watching and listening, if you want to see Will's talk from Impact Live, you can go to Impact Plus and check it out. It's definitely worth a watch. You totally crushed it. I was just mind blown watching you just drop all these truth bombs and knowledge. But you had talked about assigning super users to champion your CRM. What is a super user? And can you talk about what you mean when you say championing your CRM?
Yeah, I would say if we take from this coach that's going to help you with your business processes and everything, that coach needs to identify almost like an internal champion. And we call it a CRM champion because they're not going to put their entire sales process on hold. And maybe the organization says, hey, you know what? We want Alex, I want you to be our CRM champion in this instance. And we're going to incentivize you to do more, because what we need you to do is we need you to be at least, as they say in the old textbook phrase, I guess, I need you to be at least one page ahead of everybody else. So when then somebody is learning a new process, you already know the process, you have it down, you can help them through it.
Yeah.
You're going to hold the respect of your peers already because maybe you're the sales champion and you can say, hey, you know what? This has worked for me in this sort of way. And you're also going to be training people, not necessarily in 3-hour trainings, but when we're spot checking certain things, when we're making sure that, hey, is this working the right way? In this case, the sales team has somebody that they can look to, that they know, they like, they respect,
right,
that has the knowledge, that's maybe a little bit ahead of them, to be able to say, hey, this is the person that I need to go to after Now, to make sure that, Alex, you don't get stressed out, we want to document our process to make sure that, number one, they know how to use HubSpot Help. Number two, they know how to Google or use ChatGPT to try to solve the issue that they have. Number three, so they go through almost like this tiered system.
Sure.
And if they still have a question and they haven't been able to figure it out on their own, then they come and tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, Alex, help me out on this.
Yeah.
So this way you're not doing, what do you need? What do you need? You're not stressed out. And the people that are coming to you have already exhausted all the resources that are out there.
That makes sense. No, it makes a lot of sense only because in my head, as you're saying this, I'm like, if you become this super user, this champion, and you're also doing sales, it might be hard to find that balance of like, hey, I still have to hit my targets and my goals. And I can't be like helping everybody out here, So like, it's just, I guess, right, trying to find that balance, and you just very clearly define how you do that and how to make sense of it. So that works totally well.
Yeah, you're not going to be the new HubSpot help desk, internal help desk.
Right.
You should be more like a guide rather than being like a crutch for everyone.
Will, you also talked about doing like quarterly audits or like quarterly assessments. Is that something you still think is important? And can you talk a little bit about what that means for sales teams and for businesses out there that are using their CRM?
Absolutely. I've seen this happen often, and the general consensus of how to train a team on a CRM is we take an afternoon, we order some pizzas, and we take about 3 to 4 hours of training, and then good luck, see you later. Ask Alex if you have any questions moving forward.
Jeez.
And so it's important. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's like a one and done. There's no expectation. There's rarely any documentation. And so the adoption just absolutely tanks. Or you have somebody that just says, you know what, this has been a great 4 hours. Thank you for the pizza. But you know what? I'm going to still do my thing because that's how I've always done it. And so adopting, it's not happening. So audits of CRM usage are a way to remind everyone, hey, this is what we expect you to do. This is what is going to make our CRM usage better. And making sure that we check in on that rather than just hope that everyone does what they're supposed to be doing. Checking in, getting the numbers, for example, login frequency. Is everyone actually logging into the CRM? Are we actually using what we've invested in? Are we using this tool the way we should be?
Right.
Because honestly, if everyone on the sales team wants to get that 41% increase in their sales, you got to do the work. So first off, are you logging into that tool? Number two, are key fields being filled out consistently? So that means, are you entering the data that needs to be entered? And HubSpot has some great ways that you can say, hey, you cannot move this deal from stage 3 into stage 4 until you fill out these key pieces of data.
Right.
That's what's really going to... Now, you're going to get somebody, I can hear them in the audience right now. Maybe they're screaming at their podcast. I don't know, whatever. That they're going to say, hey, I get paid to make sales. I don't get paid to enter data. And to that, I say, data is so important to make sure that you do have good sales. If you are coming to somebody with a proposal and you don't have all the information about them, how's that going to make them feel?
Right. It plays into the trust piece. And when we talk about assignment selling and when we talk about the new book, Endless Customers, that's coming out and the principles that they ask you answer, you have to build trust. And the only way to do that is to get as much information as possible so that as a salesperson, you can what we call assignment sell. So you're not doing the hard sales pitch and trying to dig for information on a call where it's awkward and you look like you don't know what you're doing hat in hand. And instead, you have all this information and data sets that are at your fingertips so that you can come correct to a conversation. You can have the most meaningful conversation possible. Am I right?
Alex, I love it when you get fired up about stuff like this. That's exactly right.
It's so important.
I feel the energy.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I love it. Yeah, the data is so important, and not to be creepy, but to be a trustworthy person, to be able to say this fits your, instead of just going in, the old way is just features and benefits. Hey, look at this. You could do this. You could do this. You could do this. Wow. And, razzle dazzle, and then sign the paper, please. Let's do the close. This is more about, this is your situation. And this is the information that I have about your situation. And here's how we can help.
That's it.
That's establishing the trust. Sorry, we really went off on a tangent there, but I could feel the energy. I love that. That's good.
I love it too, but I think sometimes people don't understand why they have a CRM like HubSpot, and they're misleveraging it because at the root of it, they don't understand what we just spoke about, where it's like, this is a tool to help you sell better, to be more honest, and to meet your customers or potential customers where they are, and not do the old school sales thing where you're trying to hard sell or whatever the case may be, where those antiquated sales systems don't work anymore. So this is a great tool. And again, we just talked with Tom about this when we talked about selling. In order to meet people and qualify them in your pipeline, you have to have this data. You have to know where they are. You have to know what their concerns are, what their fears are, what they need, what they don't need, so that you can make the best decision and meet them where they are. That's just the key.
It's so important, so very important. It all works together with endless customers, whether it's assignment selling, the right sales process, the right technology, all of the right website. It all works together, really, to establish that trust. So important.
Yeah, and also as a salesperson, if you want your numbers to go up 41%, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. Who doesn't want that? Yep. That sounds amazing to me. Teach me, Obi-Wan. Seriously.
No, I don't want more money. I've made my quota. Thank you.
Right.
No thanks. Said no one ever.
Said no one ever.
Exactly.
No one
exactly.
Ever. Yeah. So Will, this has been really eye-opening, really great conversation. What's the one thing, salespeople out there listening, business leaders out there, HubSpot fans, what would you say to them is the one thing, like the key takeaway from our conversation today that they should be thinking about?
The one thing you should take away from today's conversation is maximize what you already have. So maximize your CRM. You're already paying for it. It's already there. It's already within your organization. Are you getting everything you can possibly get out of it before you jump to the next thing? And yes, the next thing is AI, and it's really cool and everything, but let's start with what we have and get the most out of it.
I love it. Well, thanks for being on the show, and thanks for all your insights. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
Anytime. And for everybody out there watching and listening, this is Endless Customers. We'll catch you on the next episode.